I always forget this. There we go. The recording is in progress. So the session it will be made available within the couple hours after the workshop. So just know that too. And I'll share that on our founder share folder. Okay, Beth, over to you.
Fantastic. Hi, everybody. So happy to meet all of you. I've seen all of your faces. I read your bios. And today we're going to talk about product market fit. And we have Maureen who's here too. Have you all met Maureen already?
I've met a lot of you. I'm Maureen O'Higgins. I've retired from a career in tech, and I'm an investor through Capital Angel Network and through SheBoot. So very interested to hear the presentation today.
Amazing. So Maureen is our voice of customer, so to speak, a customer being our investor. So we'll get started. So I'm Beth. Just really quickly about me, I am a growth advisor. I've been working with startups for over 15 years now, and I've gone through 2 Series A. I helped one of my startups exit. I've floated in and out as an executive, back into advisory, and right now I'm kind of both. So I'm CMO at a 3 million ARR looking to double startup. And I'm also still advising, and of course doing all of this fun mentoring work. So been there, done that, and I'm here to kind of help you. So I'm going to do a lot of talking, hopefully for not too long, because we will get to kind of Q&A. We could do some rapid advisory between myself and Maureen with all of you. But please do stop me at any time if you'd like to jump in the presentation. Even if you have a question, you can throw it up. We'll address it either on the spot or we can park it for after the presentation. Okay. All right, here we go. So also thank you for those who did fill out the questionnaire. It sounds like presenting, finding product market fit and presenting that is the challenge today for you all. So we're really going to hone in on that, and I'm hoping you're going to walk out of here with a bunch of actionables that you can go out and start working on immediately. Okay, so how to get product market fit and how to present it. Today, we're going to get clear on what is product market fit. I'm sure you all already know, but just for context setting, we're going to talk through it. How to present it, how to get buy-in, and then how to leverage either a target audience, which are people who are not your customers, but you would like them to be customers, and how to leverage actual customers to build out some growth strategies that kind of all bake into your go-to-market. Okay, and then we'll do the rapid fire. Okay, so how many of you here, have you all heard of Lenny and Lenny's newsletter? Show of hands. I don't know. I'm just curious if anybody here knows Lenny. So Lenny is the product guy from Airbnb. He was one of the original folks there, and now he's a wildly successful investor and has a wildly successful podcast and has amazing content. This is one of his illustrations around, here's what happens, and you all know this. You've all seen this before, but here at this validation stage, which some of you actually told me in that form how you've validated to date, and it's excellent work. So all of you have done this, you've gone through here, some of you have customers, and now you're saying, okay, how do we find product market fit? The official definition, product market fit, when you can prove to a VC, also to yourself, right? Even for folks who aren't out there fundraising, they need to prove this to themselves to build a business, that enough of the market wants what you're selling at the price that you're selling it at. Okay. So we're all kind of clear on what that is. We're going to come back to this definition quite a bit. This is another way to look at your life cycle, kind of comparing Lenny's kind of roadmap here. And what I like about this one is, sure, there's validating, but it's validating is going to happen over and over and over again as you are scaling, right? And you all know that. And part of validating is iterating and pivoting. And pivoting, not necessarily on your product, but it could be on your customer segment. It could be on your market, right? So just to kind of break those apart, a customer would be, your buyer. Maybe you're selling to the wrong buyer in the same market. And then a market would be a totally different, completely different category, either geographically or categorically. And then scaling. And so we're going to come back to that one as well, because Maureen has some really great pivot stories there that we just want to kind of touch on and make everybody aware that iterating is sometimes the path to success. Okay. And not sometimes, actually, most often it is. Okay. So back to this, you have to have enough of the market. So where is this market coming from? Okay. It's really going to come from all of these channels. Channels, I think of this in two ways. Okay. There's your go-to-market, which is often confused with customer acquisition. So think of your go-to-market as your strategy roadmap. So this is how you're positioning yourself in the market, meaning how you're positioning your value, but also how you're positioning yourself as a category, right? Does that make sense when I say category to everybody? So if you were to look yourself up in, like a review site, like a G2 Crowd or Trust Radius, you know how they put companies into categories. You can think of it like that. So what category are you in? For example, for me at Hiring Branch, which is the startup I work for, we do hiring assessments for candidates that replace interviews. And so are we a talent platform category? Are we an assessment category? Are we in an AI hiring category? So there's all these different categories that people fall into. And what's important about understanding what category you're positioning yourself out there is that people are familiar with certain categories. And so you want to be familiar to them so that they can kind of situate what you do, in their brain. Your go-to-market also includes your pricing, your distribution, and all of that. Okay, so this is driving strategy. Customer acquisition, on the other hand, is where you're going to find and convert your ICP, which is your ideal customer, and that tactical plan. So it's very funnel focused. Okay, but they both include channels. So, and I'm sure you've all seen all kinds of different channels that you can be going to market in. Here's one example from Raymond Luke.
Beth,
yes.
We just have a quick question from Linda. She raised her hand. Linda, if you want to go off mute and just ask.
Yeah, sorry, I don't want to interrupt. I wasn't sure if we should wait till after or not, but it was with the go-to-market strategy. I was curious. This could be a really dumb question. Is it okay if I ask now or should I wait?
Please, no,
okay.
Please.
Go-to-market, when does it channel into like your value prop? Like you're already in market, like when, because I'm assuming that eventually like your in market go-to-market strategy is done. Now your value proposition, when does that transition?
When does that transition into a value
prop? Or does it? Like, when do you no longer worry about go-to-market strategy and now when you're in market and it's working? Or is it cyclical?
Oh, it's cyclical. You're always reviewing your go-to-market and you're always evolving. So and thank you for asking this. You're going to see later I have another example of a bunch of go-to-markets and how myself an example where what we started in and where we are now. And you'll see it's always changing. The value proposition, that's interesting though. Can you tell me more about that? Because I think of value proposition as something that's it's layered into everything you do, every channel.
Yeah, I guess it's like we often get like what differentiates you, what's your value prop, and that to me kind of speaks to like your go-to-market strategy. Maybe sometimes you don't know it's your go-to-market strategy and you learn it as you go, but if you're saying it's cyclical, you go back and you're like, okay, well, this is how we can differentiate ourselves. What else can we do in this space? And we're kind of like in this cycle. So for me, the value prop, it answers some of the questions that we would think about at go-to-market, but it's you're already in market. Maybe it's the timing difference. You're already in market. You're proving that you're proving that you're standing out and it's differentiated because of that. I am not an expert, so that's my thought.
Think about your unique differentiators. So to win in any market, you have to prove to an audience that cares about what you're offering. You have to prove to them that you are better than everybody else, right? So if you're going to buy a CRM, you can go to Salesforce, you can go to HubSpot, you can go to Pipedrive. They all have to prove to you why they're the best one. And they're only going to do that by being different than everybody else, right? So the way, oh, if you like, we can even get into how to build a unique selling proposition. April Dunford has a fantastic framework for that. Your unique value proposition is going to roll into your positioning. And your positioning permeates through all of your channels, your website, your LinkedIn profile, your email signature, like everything, right? So that's the complicated part when we're talking about go-to-marketing and just go-to-market and marketing, is that there's so many terms that get thrown around. And the way I like to think of everything is almost like in a hierarchy of what goes where, so I can kind of work through it in my head, if that makes sense. So I work in frameworks always. Okay, so does that help, Linda? Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for jumping in. All right. So acquisition channels. I'm not going to read them. You all can see this, and you're all going to have, this presentation later for yourselves. So distribution. So these are channels, so to speak. Okay. This is another illustration from Lenny, which is called his growth framework. And he likes to compare it to a car, which is very interesting. So think about, you have kickstarts, things that are going to kind of get you some incremental success. Like you're just kind of getting started, and all these different ways to do it. Then you have a growth engine, which is this repeatable engine where you're going to have a consistent flow of growth from. And then you have boosts, lubricants, and fuel. So again, won't read through all of this, but this is a fun resource for you to take stock of where you can be, where you are, and then measure performance in everything that you're doing, right? Like, how are we doing everywhere? And we're going to talk through performance as well. Okay. All right. So in all your channels, with all your tactics, how do you know that you have product market fit? Okay. So here does anybody feel confident that they have product market fit? Or we're working on it? Okay. Okay. Sarge, you do? Okay. Okay. So let's see, how do you sleep at night saying, yeah, I have product market fit? Okay. Now, a bunch of ways. Quantitatively, there's NPS scores. So if you are asking your customers in an actual measurement, not just asking them, verbally, you're measuring well in your satisfaction scores. You have a low churn rate, if you have a steady growth rate, if you're gaining market share. The 40% rule is, if you ask 40% of your customers if they can live without you, they say, hell no, like I can't live without you. That's a 40% rule. And if you have repeat product activity, if you have people going in and using your product and service daily, weekly, whatever that activity is that you need, that shows you that there's value. It's really proof of value, isn't it? So it's not enough to say we have sales. My mantra as a customer, obsessed growth marketer is, it's value. Your end game should be providing value to your end customer all the time. Okay. So, and then of course, qualitatively, there's word of mouth. If you're getting free press mentions, these are all signals to say it's working. So when I say it's working, it means, again, the market is responding to the differentiated value, Linda, right, that you're putting out there in the channels where you're active. Okay. Okay. Now, but really how? Okay. So early adopters, which is where most of you are at, there has to be a willingness to switch and fire an existing solution to adopt your technology. When you see that happening, you're like, okay, this is positive. I'm onto something. So I'll just use the CRM example. If you are a small CRM for small businesses, for example, and your customer stopped using HubSpot to use you, well, that's a great signal. If you can accurately define your market positioning. In other words, you can define your market position to a candidate, or not a candidate, sorry, like a lead, and they understand what you're doing. If you can tell, others in your own words what your unique value propositions are, great. When people stay with you when they want more, if they're leaving you positive reviews, if they're willing to give you case studies, right? And if you're converting website traffic. So all of these are very good signals that your early adopters are catching on. Okay, so I get this question all the time, which is, is there a benchmark? Like, what does good look like in any of these metrics, right? And the answer is, hi, I think we have some new folks joining. Hi, welcome. The answer is, of course, there is no industry agnostic benchmark for all of these metrics. The truth is, you just need it to be positive and you'd like it to be going in the right direction. So I'm going to read out a few examples here of let's just say a proof of go-to-market of product market fit. Okay, in this utopian story, right? Let's pretend I'm a founder. Hi, investor. Our NPS score is an outstanding 70. Our monthly churn is less than 5%, and we're growing at a consistent 30% month over month. And we're way on our way to grab 5% of the TAM. Oh, and 20% of our new customers come from word of mouth. And just last month, we got 4 press mentions, right? Now, this would be optimal. Any investor would say, okay, sign me up. There's some money to be made here. Here's a more realistic story. So, hi, investor. We have, and sorry, this is an example for a B2B enterprise. We have 4 full integrated customers who are expanding inside of our product and doubling their revenue with us next year. They give us a solid 50 NPS, not more, because they're waiting for our next feature release that will help them save even more time. Churn is not an issue at this stage of customer integration, and there is next to no risk. All our customers switched from legacy competitors, these big incumbents, because they want our nimble service. And while new growth is slow because we need more development to help automate onboarding, we have signed 5 LOIs to onboard, right? And we're strategically waiting to make noise in the press because we can't even onboard more customers, right? So you see how this story feels realistic and it's positive, right? And part of your pitch to investors is to be real and not bullshit, right? Because VCs will see through that. And Maureen wants to jump in here. Go ahead, Maureen.
Mute.
Oh, we're on mute.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really like this example because most of your companies are young companies. Most of you don't have a lot of customers, but by working with a few customers and really getting them to work with your company very closely and your product and give you good feedback and stay with you for a period of time, that is good validation to an investor. Really, the number of say programs you've participated in or academic thumbs up are nice, but investors want to hear what the customer experience is. They want to know, even if you don't have a lot of sales, they want to know that you've been working with customers, you are wholeheartedly taking their feedback into your product and continuing to work with them. So this kind of thing is really positive.
Nice, thank you. Yes. What else can I say here? It's a plan. So often when things aren't optimal, right? Or if they're stagnant, then there's just a plan. So here, for example, there's a plan. We can't onboard more customers, so we're building development to onboard more customers. Let's look at another example. Okay, so this one is, let's say this is a mid-market B2B example. Hello, investor. We're capturing 10% of all our website traffic into a free trial, and we convert a solid 30% of free customers into paying. Plus, through email and SMS campaigns, we've increased our average customer value by 30% by getting more free folks to convert into our highest premium plan. We see 20% churn at month 3 and are building an expansion product to help deliver longer-term value to those customers. 5% of our customers leave us a Google review, and 90% of those reviews are positive. There is much more market to grab. Our focus on SEO has proven useful with 15% month-over-month traffic growth, and we plan to go into phase 2 of our go-to-market with our new funding and drive more traffic to the website by testing various channels. Okay, so again, This is, you can see their primary go-to-market is the website and investing in SEO. And they've clearly focused on optimizing the funnel, albeit even if the volume is small, they've optimized that funnel before feeding more folks into the funnel, which is also wise. Okay. Maureen, and do you have anything to add on this one? Does this one make sense too?
Yeah, this does make sense to me. This is, often, I think you'll see this with a company that's a little more advanced. So they've actually got customers coming in off their website. And early on, you just really have to focus on those customers, help them to use your product, help them to enhance the value that they get from that product. So your first customers, you might want to handhold, even though you can't do that in scaling. Like, you need to be able to have your customers do things on their own, but a little handholding or a lot of handholding early on to understand your customer's experience and help them to stay with you and increase their activity on your product is useful.
Yes, nice. Okay. So to summarize on this, presentation of, current state where you're at with your go-to-market, including all your metrics, is, you combine your North Star metrics that make sense for your business. So you don't have to hit on all of those things that I mentioned earlier, tell the story and make sure that it sounds repeatable and scalable, which I'm going to explain in the next slide. So repeatable and scalable means no one-off seasonal kind of campaign-based revenue, right? And often what we'll see with founders is founder-based revenue, meaning you go into your networks and gain customers that way, and then that taps out at some point. And that's often when there's a pivot will come into play, or more customer validation to understand, okay, like, we know that our product is working with this small subset of people who I brought in because I knew them through my networks. But now to go at scale, at large, we're stagnant a bit. So pro tip here: share all the metrics with investors, even the bad ones, but provide a plan, which is what, I was just saying. And here's where you can really show off your investigative skills, meaning you have to look at your funnel, look at all of your data, what is performing, what's not, see what's leaking, and plan to fix it. This is a video, recent video from the CEO at ARC, which is a browsing tool. And he talks to this exact thing. They were stagnant. And then he looked at his funnel, saw where it was leaking, and was like, whoa, why are we so terrible at onboarding people? And then they just put some marketing effort into onboarding folks. And then there you go, 30% bump in revenue. So in a way, growing is investigating and getting to the crux of where the friction is. Okay, repeatable and scalable. What do we mean by that? Here's some examples. So repeating obviously means you could do it over and over again, but scaling means that there's actually more out there for you to grab. So, consistently, let's say you're talking about sales, consistently for every 100 leads, we know, I'm very confident, for every 100 leads, we close one. And guess what? I have a service that can feed me 1 million good fit cold emails for these leads, for this kind of campaign. Okay. For a website story, it's okay, we consistently convert 2% of our traffic into demos. So I'm very confident that we can continue doing this. And it's scalable because we have more channels to tap into to send more traffic to our website, right? Or partners. So a partner campaign, we've done a few tests, and we know that this type of a partner can drive 10 demo requests per month to us. And we have 10 more really good fit partners that we're going to try to work with. So it's scaling. Does that make sense? Okay. So putting it all together in a slide for your presentation. So this is where I went to Raymond Luke. I used to work with Raymond, actually. I was advisor for his startup. So he lives in Toronto, and he has a book called Pitching a Leap of Faith. I think I linked to it a little bit later, and it's in the resource section in this deck. He's a pitching guru, so highly recommend reviewing any of his material. he says the elements on your slide have to include your acquisition channels, distribution channels, impact on revenue, and a roadmap. Okay. Here's a sample from one of his articles from Front. Front is like a customer service ticketing kind of startup. So this was one of their very early pitch decks, and they were, showing, here are my acquisition channels. And so Raymond points out here, look, they have their top 3 channels. They're adding these numerical metrics to build some credibility within each channel. And then their tactics are kind of broken out here. Okay, so this is just a very simple slide. And again, your slides should always be simple, but impactful. I have seen cluttered slides before, and I'm sure, Maureen, you've seen a ton of this as well, where if you clutter too much, man, it is the same concept in marketing to your customer as to your VC, where it's, if you open up the floodgates, it's just too much information. You're never going to toe the line in a story to get them to just engage them and be clear. So your critical channels, your critical metrics, you don't have to present everything. Maureen, it's not in your head. Okay, great. Okay, but Beth, I don't have a lot of traction. So how do I pitch product market fit to get some funding if I don't have a lot of traction? Who here is in this bucket? Anybody? A few folks? Okay. So it's possible, of course. Here I'm presenting the Pitching a Leap of Faith book by Raymond. Here's the link I was talking about before. So you have to convince an investor, right, that your idea or your MVP, wherever you're at, is worth pursuing. And that's why he calls this a leap of faith. It's kind of like a chasm. And he's like, if your chasm is this big and you're asking an investor to jump from here to here, it's unlikely. But if you build the pitch and the story convincingly, then that chasm is smaller. And the way to do that, and again, this is not only for the investor, this is also for you and your business. Like you need to do this just to be confident in what you're doing and feel good about what you're doing, right? So here's how a few different companies kind of close the chasm for the investors. Renault Run, a startup I worked for a very long time ago. So Renault Run was the Amazon of construction materials, so delivering materials same day. To raise seed and Series A, we proved that the old way of doing this was wildly inefficient. So we really went in and validated the problem, and we did it in a very manual way, which was with a stopwatch and a pickup truck, and we were timing routes and then going out and interviewing folks and asking them how much this costs them in their time. And we validate that, okay, this is a real problem. We proved that early adopters wanted the service. We proved that once we had customers, those first 100 customers, that they stayed and expanded. And then we proved a line of sight for profitability, even though the company wasn't profitable. Most companies aren't profitable at this stage. Series B, we went out and proved that, okay, wow, the customers that we have are referring us, and 30% of all of our new signups come from word of mouth. Customers want more from us, right? We're able to hit the same milestones when we expand the service geographically. You could do this, with different products. And then we also knew that after 3 months, folks would stay with us. So we had to really reduce churn between that 1 to 3 months to help people stay. That was the story. Hiring Branch, where I am now, the story is we have 4 customers who are expanding 300% with us this year. New customers, they are adopting, they're like drastically changing their process with our tool, meaning they actually stop interviewing people. And that's a huge proof point for investors. They love that story. New customers, they're switching from these incumbents, and they're killing all of these internal tools to solve the same problem. So what we were doing was really working. Uber, everybody knows Uber. This is the classic story. I'm sure you all have heard this story before, right? They were hacking it and figuring out where events were, working with event organizers to give away free Uber rides. But what what I found out through an ex-Uber employee was that they actually stationed the cars around the corner from the event. So they would like pop up super fast, which is not always the case with an Uber. Anyhow, they hacked it to kind of get this traction there. Okay, so early stage, the idea is prove the early adoption and prove the value, even if it's with a small subset of folks. Okay. So make a plan. Here, you know, take stock of all your metrics. Where are you strong? Where are you weak? What is the plan? And then you write the pitch. And maybe here it's worth noting as well that it's important to not try to do it all, right? Because there are so many different channels that you can dabble in. And the channels that I see working the best, and Maureen, maybe you can also chime in here too, is relational, particularly with B2B. It's I would say and B2C, because word of mouth is relational. So in other words, you know, cold emails, cold pitching is very hard. It's much harder than having a warm intro from somebody you know, or a partner who already has the audience, the same audience that you're trying to tap into. You know, writing a blog from scratch is really hard versus writing a guest article on a complementary tool or a partner's, you know, outlet. Go ahead, Maureen.
I would say to make sure that your early customers or early partners are influential players in your market. So don't be random about that. Pick someone who is influential in your market, and if you don't have a relationship with them, go after a relationship so that your early customers are market leaders, and you'll get a lot of value out of that.
Mm-hmm. And then they'll become flagship case studies and stuff like that. Okay, so I'm just going to come back here for a minute, which is we're going to talk about customer research. So I just want to maybe pause here before I get into this part of the presentation. Does anybody have any questions, particularly around presenting what you have already done? No? Okay. You know what? When we're finished presentation, maybe another 10, 15 minutes or so, we could even go through some of your go-to-market slides if you have them. I'd be happy to review them. Okay, so I will keep going. All right, so let's talk about this stage here when we're looking at iterating and pivoting, okay? This, I'm very strongly rooted in this opinion, which is your path to growth and product market fit lies in talking to potential customers and customers, okay? I can't tell you how many folks I've advised who are just either stuck in, you know, the same message, the same positioning, not sure where to go. And then we talk to customers and they just have all the answers. You just have to ask them the right questions, and you have to ask, well, starting with the right people and then the right questions, and then doing the right kind of insights parsing to really get to the crux of everything, you know, whether it's, you know, product activation or whether it's, you know, market fit. So we're going to talk a lot about this right now. All right. Customer research it'll get you out of your head and it'll get you into your customer's shoes. I guarantee you. It will help you pivot on product. Maybe you need to pivot on your go-to-market. Maybe you need to pivot on messaging, positioning. I don't have market category there, but that's also a big one. And it will help you make informed decisions rather than a decision on one customer who asked for one thing or one opportunity that one, you know, influencer told you that you should go after and whatnot. Even investors, actually, will often chime in and tell you, you should be doing this, you should do this, or pivot here or do that. And you can be in a room with 10 investors and they'll all have a different opinion. And that's, you know, often the case. But I'll tell you this, an investor will believe you if you come to them with an informed plan, informed from customer research. Because they don't always know your customer as well. So if you come and say, but you know, here I did all this research, here's the proof, right? It's irrefutable, really. Okay, so this is a framework by my friends and colleagues, Georgiana Laudy and Claire Solenshoff. They have a company called Forget the Funnel. They wrote a book. Does anybody here know about them or this book? No? Okay. So their premise is research and using research to inform your growth strategy. And I'm going to walk you through the high level framework. You can take from it what you like. You can buy the book. They have with their book, it comes with worksheets, like online worksheets that you can use. And I also have a bunch of templates that I would happily share with everybody. Okay, so customer research. What are you looking for? So you all have done customer research in some shape or form. Often, I want to go back on this slide, actually. How do I go back? No, back. Okay. Can we just pause here? And I'd like to ask you all, what were your objectives when you went and did customer research? Was it validating a product, a feature, problem? You could throw it into that chat. You can go ahead and just, yes, please.
We were really trying to better understand the problem because we work with folks with leg amputations. So it's really important for us to know exactly what their lived experience has been.
Okay, love it. Great. Yes, Sylvia.
So we went through the two-phase approach. First, we validated the problem, and then we went into solution validation.
Okay, solution validation. Okay, interesting. Okay, anybody else?
Yeah, I wanted to add, we did one for value proposition very early on, and then we also did test where we asked people in our email newsletter, like customer, we had like a customer survey, and then the people that were in that newsletter but weren't customers, trying to understand why they haven't purchased. So I guess I don't know if it's, I don't know where that fits.
No, that's great. That's very good. That's almost like a reason, a reason for not purchasing. Okay, cool. So when doing research, be very clear about what you're trying to get out of it, right? So it's either you have a hypothesis of what a problem is and you want to validate that. And it's always a hypothesis, right? Until you've actually proved it. Or it's going and understanding, product usage and all of that. But at the very, very beginning, I would say, actually forget it. Anytime you really want to do interviews face-to-face or virtually over a survey, for the obvious reasons that you get so much more insight. It's incredible how much more insight you get. And then of course it's the questions. So it's hyper important that you're asking not leading questions and questions that kind of dig and get to the real root of what you're trying to. And the last piece that's hyper important with the research is that you get transcripts, you parse it, and then you consistently build a repository where you're consistently getting the same answers to the same questions so that you can build a pattern. If it's willy-nilly questions, sometimes you ask this, sometimes you ask that, then you're just getting one-off insights that aren't very useful. Okay, so I'm gonna walk you through a little bit of operationally how to do this. So what are you looking for? You can validate problems. You can get into a context setting, understanding trigger moments, stuff like that. These are the really three big ones here. So you want to always understand the first thought that a customer had when they were looking for a new solution, meaning what was going on in their life when they'd said, you know what, I could use this tool, or I need to start shopping for this tool. And it's often there's something dissatisfied that's going on right now. Either something's taking them too much time, or there's something new that's happening. They have a new boss, or maybe they've integrated a new activity in their lives. Like for example, you start exercising, and guess what? Now I need to wake up early, and I want to get a nice alarm clock. Okay, well the first thought was, I need to get up early because I need to exercise, right? So you have to get those trigger moments, and all those trigger moments are going to feed into your positioning. Forces of progress, meaning what's holding them back from moving forward or what's pushing them towards something new. And then a desired outcome is what's the end result that a customer is looking for. And so if we go back to the alarm clock example, my end result isn't to wake up with an alarm clock. My end result is to look fucking great because I'm exercising, right? So that's the difference that doing like a customer interview and doing a survey will give you, is you will really understand people's motivations and desired outcomes when you're asking them the right questions. Okay. So, and this will change your life. I promise you, this will change. Every time I've taught this material over and over again, for the Forget the Funnel founding team. And it's a life changer. It has been for me. Okay, so questions, actual questions that you would use. And again, if you buy the book, you'll get worksheets that have many, many, many more questions for different kinds of scenarios that you're looking to do. But here's just an example, and I'm going to read them out. So, thanks so much for taking this call with me. I have a few questions, just be as honest as you can. Tell me, how were you solving this before you onboarded with us? Right. And you just want to listen and then dig into like, oh, so how long did this take you? Why did you do that? What tool was it? That kind of a thing. What was going on in your life when you started to look for this? I just alluded to that earlier. Okay, what convinced you to try us? This one is killer, because this question, what I often get here is a note on a capability. So let me think of an example. Okay, so an example is SparkToro. I did this for SparkToro, which is like an influencer kind of searching tool. And when we asked their customers, what was it, right? And they were like, oh, well, I can organize my lists of influencers. And I was like, what? It was on nobody's radar, on the founding team or the marketing team, nobody's radar that customers wanted to organize their work. They were marketing, hey, find all these amazing people. But what they loved about the product was we could organize it. So what do? We kind of put together new messaging. We built all these activation campaigns to get new people into this little tiny feature that was buried in the product, and it changed everything. Okay, so that's this question is a winner. When you started using us, like, did you have a moment where you were convinced that this is going to work for me? And that will give you an aha moment from your customers. And again, this is often the moment where they realize the value. So imagine your customers, they're talking to your sales team or they're on your website and they're reading about value. Okay, there's a promise there. I'm going to get this value. I'm going to take a leap of faith, right? Because you're always asking customers to like kind of jump through hoops for you, right? Essentially, you're going to jump through this hoop and you're going to try me. And now that you've tried us, now you're experiencing the value, which is either saving time or, being more productive, whatever that value is. So when you understand how they got to that moment, then you're going to want to package that and put that into all of your material. Okay. So number 5, what can you do today using us that you couldn't do before? This is going to give you their new desired state. So this gives you like the whole end result of using you. And this one, what comes out of this question are testimonials, because they're kind of, touting. Yes, Maureen.
I was going to say, so this is primary market research, and it is really important. And these are good questions because they are not leading questions. What you get out of your primary market research is really dependent on the way you ask your questions, and they've got to be unbiased. So sometimes it's good to do a bit of reading about primary market research and how to formulate your questions before you start that research. And these are a really good starting point. I like these because they get at what you need to know, but they don't necessarily, they're not digging for an answer that you want. They're unbiased enough that I think you'll get a realistic set of information from your customers.
Yes, 100%. And I've done these as well for customers where they're negative. I've gotten negative. Like, what convinced you? Nothing. I just I was told.
But that's the whole point, right? You need to know that.
Exactly. That's right. Exactly. So I also see in the comments here, so at now, yeah, product and feature validation. So this last question, number 6, is what would make this experience 10% better for you? Is it's a thinker. This one gets people thinking, okay, because you're not asking for a utopian, dream solution, but what would just make this a little bit better for you? And this will feed your product roadmap. So when you're doing your validation on a product or feature, right? I don't have any material for this one in the deck, but if you are going about that kind of a validation, ideally, you've already done this, right? So understand this. This is kind of your first step. Also, what you will get from something like this is you can even ask people to repeat. Can you tell me, if you were to tell a friend or a colleague what we do, how would you explain it to them? And when you listen to how they explain it to somebody, usually your market category will come out and they'll tell you how they position you in the market. And then the value that they get from you will come out. So when you think about the category definition, it's okay, we are a blank kind of tool that delivers this. So that's something else that's there. So, and then the product piece, we can come back to that maybe later in the Q&A if anybody wants to kind of dig into product validation. Okay. All right, sweet. So thank you. You're all still with me? Okay. We don't have too much moving forward. This is a screenshot of how I parse the customer interviews. So this is Notion. I go into Notion. I love Airtable. It's just such an expensive tool. But if you can use Airtable, it's the best for this, or Dovetail is good. You could just use Excel or Table, whatever. So I have my questions in columns, and then I parse, I'll take the transcripts and I'll clean them up. But you never want to stray from the exact words that your customers are using. And then I build a new column beside every question that's a theme. Okay. So what I'm getting at is, after I've done 10 of these, I can come back and say a struggle theme is, candidate drop off. It was mentioned 4 times out of 10 interviews. I should scratch on that one. I should figure out how to package that one better. So this is just a way for you to quantify the interviews. And then you can take all of this. Now, when we think about how we present all of this to investors, well, hey, investors, 60% of the people that we interviewed have this problem. We've validated that they have this problem, and all of them were searching for a new tool in the last 2 years. That's how much of a problem it is. They're trying to solve it. So, those are data points for the earlier stage startup that you can bring into your investor presentation. Okay. Okay. So this is less on the investor presentation. This is more for you and for your clarity and for how you align your team moving forward on your product. So what you do then with this validated, data from your interviews is you build a job to be done statement. Has anybody ever heard of this before? Okay. So this job statement, it's so easy. It's just this template. It's you in the shoes or in the mind of your customer. You want to define, when I have blank struggle, and I have an example I'm going to show you on the next slide. I want blank, which is your motivation, so that I can blank have a desired outcome. Okay. How I use this as a job statement is I have a global one for a product all the time, for the company, sorry. And then I have one for every product that I offer. And then every new employee, everybody, especially in the leadership team, salespeople, everybody gets this statement. So everybody understands what it is we're doing, who we're solving it for, and why. So let me show you what this can look like. And I promise you, if you don't do something like this, it doesn't have to be this, but if you don't have some kind of documentation about what you're solving for and what the desired outcome is, everybody in your company will have a different definition. So this is a fantastic alignment tool. Okay, so back to hiring branch. On day one, I did, I think it was 8 interviews. And this was the job statement that I came up with. So and this is the audience here are recruiters, okay, global enterprises. When my backlog of applicants is piling up, which is the problem, I want a faster, more efficient way to screen them. That's the motivation. So I can know who to pass through my hiring process without interviewing. This, without interviewing, blew my mind. I had no idea that our customers had stopped interviewing. So what did I do with this insight? Was I had a whole new positioning campaign where we positioned ourselves as no interview hiring. And it worked. I'm telling you, we got on 10 podcasts in 3 months. We were all over it worked. And it kind of like, we built this movement, right, around why it's silly to assess people in an interview when AI can do it way better. So that's kind of fun. Now, fast forward 6 months later, I go back to the same customers and I interview them again. Now they're like, Beth, you've solved this for me. Thank you so much. Here's my issue now. When I'm pitching, because our customers are servicing other people. So they're like, when I'm pitching clients, I want help telling the robust story like of Hiring Branch's tools so that I can impress and close them. So what did I do with that insight? I built a whole new program for us to co-sell with them. And what's happening now is we have a whole new channel, a sales channel. It's fantastic. So the moral of this story is align your team on the job that your customer is firing and hiring you to do, and then use those insights, strategically. Okay. And then repeat the whole process over and over over time. Okay. So this is Hiring Branch again. I'm coming back to this here. On day one, here's where we were playing, right? With this whole no interview hiring positioning. I got influencers on board. We got press. We've sponsored events, stuff like that. 6 months later, that's still rolling on its own. And we have word of mouth, we have referrals, and we have all of these new panels and these expansion pieces. Okay, so that's kind of where we're at now. And I really like this comprehensive list of channels. All right, was that helpful? Okay, almost done. I just have, I think, 2 more things to show you all. So this is something, it's another tool for you to get clear on a few things, on call them like hoops that your customer has to jump through to adopt you. Okay. And how you're going to facilitate the progression through a customer experience journey. Okay, so I won't go into this too much, but just to show you, there's a link here. There's a free template on Miro. I have my, this is a job statement here from an old customer. And so we put the job statement at the top, and then we kind of define what these stages are that customers go through. And then we define KPIs for each stage. So has anybody ever seen a customer journey map before? No? Okay, so what it does is it's just a document to show, hey, a customer's experiencing a problem at this stage. Okay, next, they become solution aware of your product. And now they're in another stage, think of it almost as psychology, right? They're in a different state of mind now. They know who you are and they're kind of interested, right? And then for them to move from interested to the next stage, it's okay, well, now they're actually going to be evaluating your product. And so they're in this evaluation stage and so forth. And it goes on like that. What this tool does is it really, really helps you understand the value and when you deliver it in that experience for your customer. Okay. Now, when we talk about growth and we talk about go to market, that's all really here. Let me just go back here a second. It's all really here, right? All your go to market is here. And so in this, somebody's experiencing problem, you need to get clear on, like, you know, where do we get in touch with them? Like, what are they going through to, when they're in that problem stage? Are they finding a solution? What are they reading online? What events are they going to? And how can we kind of intersect that experience, right? And then send them to either our website or into a sales call and build that connection there. So like at this stage, you're really, really heavy in this, but it's fun to map it out. And then also what I do here is I add testimonials, from my interviews here so that I know what they're thinking at this stage, right? And that helps you understand your channel strategies and what to say in your channels. Okay, so that's that. Just like wanted to give that a mention because it is a really fun tool. That's it, wrapping up. So investors will be more impressed with, you know, sticky customers, right? Than continuing to feed your funnel if you have a really leaky funnel. Expansion speaks leaps and bounds to the value that you're delivering. When you have a customer who lands with you and then either gives you more money or uses more products or, you know, word of mouth, all of that expansion piece. Meaningful growth comes from value. I think I've said that. I think I've kind of pounded that one home. If you don't have customers to interview, right, then you interview audience, meaning potential customers. And what you do there is those questions that I had earlier, you just reframe these questions to be less about, okay, when you use our product, you know, what convinced you, but rather when was the last time you were searching for a product and what was happening then? And you talk about their current experience and you really dig more into their struggle and use data to be believable. So that really, really helps your likability. Okay, so that's me. You all can connect with me on LinkedIn. I'd be happy to meet and chat with all of you outside of today. And we can get into the Q&A. Yes, Maureen.
Oh, you're just on mute, Maureen.
I was going to comment on the last thing you said, use data to be believable. I think that's really important because your pitch has to be believable. So your sales forecast, how your product's going to work, all those things, if you can validate them with some data, it makes them much more believable. And it's good for you.
Yes, all of the things.
Yeah.
It builds confidence. So we can let's talk it through. I know everybody has specific, you know, specific challenges with your go-to-market, and you're probably at different stages as well. I'm happy to answer any kind of questions about this material, or we can talk about what you have going on, and see if we can improve what you're doing. And I'd be happy if there's any volunteers who want to throw up any slides that you have, and you'd like some feedback from Maureen and I, we could do that.
I can go though. Sorry, I was a bit late to the seminar because I had another commitment. But yeah, I can definitely share, just looking for the go-to-market slide that I have, that I for sure need to work on it, but would love to have your feedback. Let me just pull it up quickly. Okay, it's here. Okay, so I have two, yeah, so I have like a go-to-market where I have the value proposition. So I have a pet food company. We create pet food with alternative proteins and novel ingredients. So we don't use any livestock, fish or poultry ingredients. And the main reason why I started the business was to reduce the environmental impact of pet food.
Okay.
But since we've been in the market, I've understood that, well, that like the environmental impact could be something important for customers. It's not really the main thing that they're looking for when they make decisions about pet food. So
Yes.
one of the attributes of using these proteins is that they're also hypoallergenic, and we have like clean labels and limited ingredients. So that's what we're now trying to put more upfront for pet parents, so they realize that it's good for their pets, it's safe and natural, but it's also environmentally friendly.
Okay. I have a story there for you after when you're finished about another who pivoted away from that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I have these as our go-to-market strategy, which is really like the value proposition, what I was just pretty much saying. And we started early on, we started as a direct-to-consumer company, but since then we've pivoted to really multi-channel, but focusing on retail. We are now targeting 2 channels in retail: specialty pet and grocery. And then we want to also couple that with transparency and education, like really using our expertise and trying to educate pet parents. So that's one. And then the other side is like, who is our customer? And so again, what I mentioned here, they're driven by allergies and sensitivities and a desire for natural, functional, and sustainable products. Like, it's something that I feel you cannot decouple. It's not one or the other. I think you want to provide all these features in a way. Yeah.
Okay. Maureen, you could start if you like.
I think that good job taking a look at what was a priority for your customers. Finding that sustainability wasn't their top goal in looking for pet food is very important, because if you market on that and that's not really what your customers are after, it's very hard to build a product that way. I think if you find that your pet parents are really concerned about allergies and sensitive diets for their pets, that's a better thing to focus on. And you're right, it doesn't have to be independent from being environmental, but you've got to focus on what your customers are focused on.
Right. So the little quick story there is, does anybody know the lean canvas? Have you ever heard of that? Yeah. So, I can't remember the name, the founder, I think it's Tyler or something. So he had a fantastic story about going to Thailand, riding scooters, coming home to New York and thinking, hey, everybody in New York needs to ride a scooter because it's eco-friendly. Bought a container full of scooters from Thailand, shipped them to New York, tried to sell them to students because he thought students were eco-conscious folks, didn't sell. He put an ad in a newspaper for a Vespa at a very low price, just to get people to call him to want the ad listing. So he gets people calling him, which is so clever. And he tells them, hey, listen, I'm really sorry. I actually don't have a Vespa, but can I ask you a few questions about why you want a scooter? Okay. And turns out they all want to look cool. He said, one person even said to him, I remember, he said, I want to look like Jude Law in a necktie, running, like scootering around Manhattan. So he pivoted to lifestyle brand. That was it. So the idea is, my question to you, and you don't have to answer it, but if you, hopefully you have an answer, is how do you know that folks are, sorry, if you can go back to your second slide, are more interested in ingredients? So is this third-party data here, your 60%, 43%?
Yes. Yeah. Third party. Yeah. I couldn't put the source, but yeah.
Yeah. So that's, definitely out of source. And I wish you had primary data. So, and then on your next slide is your uniqueness, or where was your, oh no, it's not there. I guess it is your first slide. There's clearly there's clearly a huge market also offering natural pet food. So these differentiators aren't really convincing to me. So unless maybe your differentiator is on brand, because with B2C, it's often brand. Right?
Yeah, definitely like the brand. Yeah, absolutely. You cannot decouple like when you have to believe in the brand when you are purchasing food for your pets or or yourself even, right? Like there is something that is more than features.
Yes.
Is how you perceive the brand. Yeah.
The other thing that might be convincing and fun to do would be a focus group with dogs, or some kind of proof that, you know, dogs like it, parents like it. And then what makes dog parents happy with their food products? Like that's a really easy interview that you could go out to the dog park in an afternoon and get 20 data points, right? And maybe you want to go to I know I'm in Montreal, so Montreal, I'm going to reference Westmount, like the affluent neighborhood dog park, right? And so find where your audience hangs out, go and just ask them. So just more of a story there to help convince me on, okay, the product works, it's good, parents want it, and then the retailers want it.
Yeah, because so all this is basically, I haven't done it in that more data driven, but it's conversations that I've had with pet parents that have like really a revelation to me, because I thought they would be more caring about the environment but they really, it's like thinking about protein allergies, and then they look at the ingredient list and they're like, oh wow, these are all natural. I love natural. I love that it is all clean label. And so that's, yeah, so
I'll pause you there. So 2 notes on that. One is you never ask the people who you know to validate your startup idea, ever, ever, ever. It's such a faux pas, because people will never say no to you. They love you, right? They're not going to tell you you're being ugly when you have an ugly baby. So so that's number one. And then number 2 is the idea of loving something. Like you just need some more proof points around that product story.
Okay, I'll consider. But just to clarify, like these questions were just at events with pet parents that were dropping by our booth, so not friends or anything.
So like, and I'm sure, because if you did that little exercise and you don't have a lot of time with investors, in a 1 line, you could just have a really convincing little data story about the product. And I kind of love the idea of a dog focus group, just because it sounds really cute. All right, you're welcome. I hope that was helpful. Investors need to be convinced, I guess, Maureen, you can agree to that. Okay. Anybody else?
You do need to do your focus group or your market research with people who are going to be more objective with you.
Right.
People you don't know are pretty good. Like everybody wants to be nice, but if they're your friends, it's even harder.
You know what's interesting? This is a really fun data point from the Founder Institute, who I also mentor with. And so first off, 80% of all of the founders who go into the Founder Institute, hi Sarge, I see your hand up. We're going to get to you. 80% of people who enter the Founder Institute pivot and end the program with a completely different either segment or product. So kind of another data point there that iterating is really the path to product market fit. And second interesting data point there is the founders rate each other and rate each other's startup products on a score of 1 to 5. And what they noticed was founders will be more critical rating somebody's startup idea than the founder themselves, because even then there's a bias. You don't want to hurt somebody's feelings, but I don't mind being honest about your product idea, but not about you. So there's always a little bit of bias when you're going to be interviewing people. And you can even not even present yourself as a founder. If you're going to go to the park or the mall or the doctor waiting office or somewhere to interview people, you can present yourself as a third party just so that people still don't want to hurt your feelings, right?
That's a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah. Hi, Serge. Yes.
Mute. I'd like to share mine. It's
Sure.
still a work in progress, but here we go. I'm so technologically in
And
advanced.
thank you, Sophia, for sharing. I really appreciate you sharing your slides.
So essentially what work does, it connects workers with work. And last night I was at an event with the BC Hotel Association and the BC Beer and Liquor Association, I think. And we were talking about the shortage of workers. And one of the things that they said to me when I told them what I was doing was like, wow, that's a cool idea. It's then getting them to the next step. So what we did yesterday was talk about, so I've got the president of the BC Hotel Association convinced that, they need to do a profile on us. Similarly with the BC Liquor Association as well, in how we can help them with the shortage of staff. Okay. So this is my value proposition slide. It's
Okay.
busy because it is a marketplace, so I have to have it balanced. So Work is an app which allows people to essentially find workers that meet their needs, are vetted, background checked.
Great.
The rates we charge are lower than what staffing agencies charge because we are a technology company. So the businesses do save money. They can upload and fill their schedules. And we've seen it happen within 5 minutes. On the worker side, the value proposition there are lots of workers right now. We have, I think as of today, 5,800 registered in Vancouver alone.
Hey.
And we just started in January. And 97% of them last quarter by word of mouth. So the reason they do it is because they get to fill in their gaps. There's full transparency on what they're going to get paid and when, and they get to make more money for whatever needs they may have. Big chunk of our people on our platform are predominantly recent immigrants, refugees. We work with ISSBC, so we are going to become their platform of record for their gateway workers. So this is my value proposition slide. My go-to-market slide is pretty simple because this is really what we do. This is what we did in Vancouver. This is what we're going to do in Toronto. This is what we're going to do in Edmonton, Calgary. This is what we're going to do in New York. I am really good at getting free PR. So earned media, because I'm vocal and opinionated, it helps.
Mm-hmm.
So how can I change this so that my message is clearer?
Sorry, could you go back to your go-to-market for a second? Okay, so your go-to-market is, okay, so you're going to expand into new cities one at a time. Fantastic. Yep. So on that note, can you prove that you have a repeatable launch playbook? That's a question you're going to get. So
that's what we did in Vancouver. That's
okay.
why we did Vancouver first. We wanted to make all our mistakes in our neighborhood.
Yeah.
And we do have a repeatable model.
Okay.
Because right now we're repeating it in Dubai as we speak.
Okay. Cool. All right. Build the initial work and bank. Okay. So your number 2, build the initial work bank, feels more like a sub item of your playbook, your launch playbook. So that I don't feel like that needs to be there. And then but join local organizations. Yes. So that's a channel. And then add new city clients the old fashioned way, expand into core markets. What does that mean?
So we're a marketplace. First thing we build is a worker pool. Then we add client.
Yes.
But that actually is going against our playbook because we add a client, then we go to the market. So we actually so in New York, we have a client right now.
Okay.
So we're going to build based on their needs, a worker database, and then from there go and add more clients. The old fashioned way, basically picking up the phone and talking to people, getting introduced. Cold calls, we don't really do much of those because they don't work anymore. We do have email campaigns that we send out. Our open rates are huge. Our response rate is low, and which means that we need to modify our email campaign messaging.
Okay, Maureen, do you have any feedback here?
Yeah, I wanted to clarify a bit. So you sign up employers. Who's ISSBC? Are they a placement type organization or?
No, ISSBC is Immigration Society. It's a federally funded entity each province has, which helps immigrants get jobs.
So they funnel immigrants to your platform as
Fantastic.
As prospects. Yeah.
But
so
the employee is actually your customer. You're targeting, you're using them as a channel, and the employee is your customer, right?
The employer is, or our client is our businesses. So it's a B2C marketplace.
But it's also, B2C.
B2B, we sit in the middle. It's a B2C, B2B.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
B2B2C. I don't know what it's called.
But it's, but it's both because you have two ends of the platform.
Yep.
Okay.
So like the conversations that went yesterday, I probably picked up 6 prospects that are large, just from one session with one table. I'm supposed to be there today too. I'll get there a little bit later. So the idea sells well. It's getting them to go to the next step.
Sarge, does this, do workers typically get longer term engagements, or is it just a 1-day hourly gig?
That's all we want to focus on is the short term. If the employer wants to hire them or our client wants to hire them, they can. And we don't charge a fee for that.
Okay.
Wow.
Because we are a side hustle. That's all we're interested in. We're not interested in full-time work.
No, but there's a lot of social value. If you can funnel these people into full-time work or even half-time work, there's a lot of value in that. You might want to look at capitalizing on that as well.
Okay. I'm like, it's blowing my mind that you would be giving away these employees to full-time without,
you know why?
Having a revenue model.
It's really, really simple. We're a side hustle. That employee that gets hired full-time is not leaving us. They're still going to pick up work from us. The client who just hired a full-time employee is now happy and will continue to come back to us for future work. And they're going to tell everybody. I've got a word of mouth marketing channel that I can't buy.
Yeah. So I don't have an opinion. I don't have a recommendation there on yes or no. I don't agree or disagree with that plan.
Yeah. We thought it through when we said we're not going to charge a fee.
I'm sure you did. Of course, it's your business model. What I would just caution or just remind you is just to be open to new business models as you're growing, because
absolutely.
Because there's and your revenue model again has to be value driven. So where there's value for your customer, you're on the employer side, there is always potentially money to be made. So just be open to it and continue validating where, what they love about your product. So I do have notes on this slides too.
Okay.
If I can give those to you.
Yes, please.
Maureen, did you, I don't want to interrupt your
No, go ahead, Beth.
Okay, cool. So your value props are great and clear. I think just design wise, it could be lighter, that's for sure. But that's just a design thing. On your go-to-market, you could probably, I might do 2 things here. I might have a slide for what is your city launch playbook with just a few notes on how you do that, because I could see that being a real big sticky point. Like they need to believe that you can, like I'm sure they're going to want to see what you do to do that. Then on the go-to-market, split the screen. So you have go-to-market channels for employees and employers, and don't leave anything out. Like if you went to an event last night, on your employer go-to-market, events is a channel for you, right? The Immigration Association is a scalable channel for you. It's definitely repeatable. And then scalable meaning like maybe there's more associations out there as well.
Well, there's one in every single province, then there's one in every single state. There
you go.
One in every single city.
Your emails, cold email, that's a channel.
Okay.
So just think about it as every kind of medium, whether it's event, email, whatever that is, on which you are gaining employer customers. That's a channel. All right. So you want to do that. And then on the employee side, whatever you have going there as well.
Well, the way we did it was we first advertised. We used Indeed. and I've been on your website. Well, you've been talking. It's actually pretty cool. We might want to use you. We went on Indeed, and then we also did a referral, refer a friend.
Yep.
And now we've gotten to that point where last quarter, 97% of our people that added onto our platform were by word of mouth.
So that's my last note for you, is to add that data point. So if you have, and you said you have amazing open rates on your email campaign, fantastic. Go back to that slide in my presentation from front where they had some data points with the channel. Do that.
Okay.
97% word of mouth. Okay, that's all I got.
I would also indicate on there how many organizations you have on board now. How many organizations and how many workers?
Okay.
Because those were good numbers.
Yeah. Yeah. And then maybe just if we take another just 2 minutes and then wrap up here, is you said you have a challenge on now your funnel, so your sales funnel. So getting these leads to get to the next stage in that customer experience journey, right?
Yes. Yes. And it's quite interesting. One of our clients, Fairmont, said to us, our staffing agency is going to be really mad at you. So
that's fantastic. That's excellent feedback. So, so what you could do there is, and maybe you have already thought of this, is you have to, what is the lowest risk, lowest friction, sample that you can get them into, to get them to, bite more. So,
so what we do, we already have that, is we start off with one person.
Okay, great.
They start off with one person. Then they'll go to 2. They'll go to 3. Then they'll go to 10.
So what's the challenge? It's not working. They're not taking that step.
No, I think my challenge is I need more salespeople.
Okay, so it's a resource. You're resource constrained.
Yeah.
So wow, but that's also a good story. So if you can put even your pipeline, a picture of a funnel with all your employer leads, name drop a few of the big names like Fairmont, and where with this money, I'm going to hire a salesperson. We're going to convert these highly engaged leads.
Well, we also have, I've been told not to do this, but I also have Union wanting to use the work platform as a virtual union hall.
Yeah, so that is a distraction.
Is it? Okay.
Isn't it?
Because essentially what they would do is they would license the work platform and just pay a licensing fee. So we would do nothing.
Right, which is a chain, like it's almost like having a different company, like a different product. So it's up to you to put the business case together, and you decide, do you want to do it or not? I don't know.
Okay. So I leave it off the table for now.
I wouldn't advise against or for it. I just advise that you make an informed decision. Because you don't have a lot of resources, if you were to go with this, just remember you're gonna have less time to work on the other side of everything, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I would say too, for now, while you're looking for investment, focus on one of those products. Once you start focusing on the both at once at this very early stage, you lose focus. So pick one, keep the other one as your phase 2.
Okay.
And I would also
They're
say,
slow anyway.
pardon me?
I said they're slow anyway.
Okay, yeah, so that's perfect. And if you've got a good customer like Fairmont, I would try and get a meeting with them, talk to them about what's working, what's not working. You know, they're a really valuable source of information for you because they're
They're our biggest reference too.
yeah, they're an ideal client. I would take some time and try and get a meeting with them to understand how you can serve them well.
Okay.
Because if you serve them well, you're very likely to serve other large customers well.
Yeah. Okay.
Love it. Good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody else? Is this free advisory? Yes, Sylvia.
Okay, I'm going to share my slides. So let me just share my screen. Okay, let me know if you can see it. Can you see my screen?
Says it's start. Yes, got it.
Okay. Let me just move sort of, yeah. Whoops. This is me moving things around. Sorry, I'm trying to move something else here.
Okay, pipeline. Wow. Okay.
All right, sorry, let me just make this bigger. Okay, so here's my sort of first slide, and it's the market validation. So I just listed even sort of a picture of a funnel. So I feel like that's probably maybe a little bit better representation, but market validation, we already have some existing traction. So it's showcasing some existing customers that we have. And I did wanted to share some of the bigger leads that we are in a pipeline that we are actively working through. So that's the first slide. And then our go-to market, not very pretty, it still needs to be beautified, but it has the key channels, so events, partnerships, and channel partners. Now, what I don't have on here and what I heard today, it is the direct sales and marketing, which as well we do, and we are doing that in a meaningful way. So and just some metrics.
Okay.
So that's that is my slides. So, and what we do, which I should have started with that, it is sustainability software, focus on real estate market.
Okay. Okay, so right away, I'm just wondering which of these are active? Like, where are you at?
So we have a partner referral program, so it's targeting events and going to the event. So this is events sort of for next year that we have identified. We have a sustainability referral program. We're working on sustainability partnerships with sustainability consulting organizations. So it's in the works, and with system integrators. We just signed up with BOMA, so it's a real estate association, which is in every city across. So we're focusing right now on the Toronto, but there is an association throughout sort of Canada as well North America, and there is a global one. And we are Siemens partner. We're in their marketplace. We are Microsoft ISV partner and AWS as well.
So the tricky part is you have to prove some traction inside of these channels, ideally. If not,
right,
you present the potential traction with, audience size. What's the execution? So with, this BOMA, are you going to be doing co-branded email campaigns, reaching how many realtors? Are you, the marketplaces, if you're already in Siemens, well, if you're in a marketplace, they should be sharing with you your profile impressions, the clicks on the links to your website, referral links to your website. Like, so have you had any leads from there? It just needs more. Otherwise,
okay.
It's not so believable.
Okay. So it just really kind of focus, how is it generating leads?
How is it it could be awareness. It could be leads.
Leads and awareness. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And then maybe just, you know, what's at the cusp. Sorry. So the partner program, referral program sounds like it hasn't started yet. But
it has, yeah,
Okay.
it has. And we've had success through the partner referral program as well.
So that's it.
So
So
just
like
quantifying it. So just quantifying really any of these items. If it has done something, putting some metrics, I guess, behind it.
my university professor, Mark Haber at Concordia University, used to tell us we did a strategy team. Anyway, he used to tell us, so what? He was such a crass,
So what? Okay.
crass professor.
Okay.
And he would say, so what you're in a referral program? So what you're a Siemens partner? Like, tell me what
What will they do for you?
Yes.
What does that partnership do for you? Yeah, I would clarify too. So your targeted events, these are 2024 events. These are things you have not done yet. And the channel partners are existing channel partners.
Yeah.
So that I think this strategy slide needs to be a little clearer, not necessarily wordier, but clearer.
Okay.
And Sylvia, your one-line description of what you do doesn't tell me what you do. So when you started and you said, we do ESG or sustainability with real estate, like, do you measure it? Do you sell sustainability products? It doesn't tell me what you do.
Yeah, so we are a sustainability intelligence platform. It is a SaaS platform, and we automate the data collection, transformation of the information with the intent to do governance reporting for decarbonization, so carbon reporting and sustainability compliance reporting.
So it's sustainability compliance reporting for real estate developers, or but that's a clearer statement. Sustainability compliance reporting tells me a little bit more about what you do.
Okay.
And then say who your customer is, and a little, like, be a little more specific about that too. Who are these?
Okay, yeah, you know what, I think I didn't do a proper introduction. I just jumped into the slides, but generally I would speak to this.
But your investors won't know. They won't know what you do. So, and even your elevator pitch, anytime you explain your company, use a little more descriptive words so that people know what you're doing. That'd be my advice.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. Any I guess any advice on the market validation slide? Anything I can I guess quantify better or present better?
Okay, so you have 8 customers with 50 years total. These are your customers. Big pipeline. I would have a question around the pipeline movement. So conversions from leads to customers, what does that look like?
Okay.
Sales cycle, that kind of stuff.
Okay. And I think some of the information it's in other slides. So I think, you know, I have some of the information in financial slides versus in necessarily like the one slide, but
do you have your sales to date somewhere in your financial slide, maybe?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And it leads into the other slide. So that's nice. So yeah, you already know that when you get to your next slide.
Yeah, and I talk about the market size. So I speak a little bit more in depth into who the perfect customer is and who we're targeting within the real estate. Like throughout, it is it's sustainability teams sort of primarily, and it is very targeted into who we're going after mid-market within the real estate.
It's good. You have a lot to work with. It's good. It's just a matter now of packaging and storytelling.
Just packaging, moving things around. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Do you have anything here about your unique? I know we haven't touched on this at all, but with other folks, or a little bit with Sophia, but the unique differentiator, do you have that?
Yeah, I do. We have IP. So I talk a little bit about the platform. What makes us different is our patented technology, which is gathering the information about the data. And it's just a unique process that speeds up the way you collect data and transform the data. That ultimately helps the sustainability teams save them time, save them money in how those processes really work.
Okay. Do you have any customer stories from your 8 customers?
You know what? I do. I have a use case. I have
Great.
a use case, and I did have a testimonial, but I'm trying to consolidate because I have quite a few slides.
So yes, and having a customer testimonial that supports, so it's proof for your unique differentiator is winner. So
Okay.
I'll give you an example. If we're competing, we're in a very cluttered space, we compete on service. We give the best dedicated account manager customer service, then you're going to have a customer story saying, oh my gosh, this service, I couldn't live without these people. They saved my life on a daily basis. That's an
Okay.
example of coming full circle with a unique value proposition. If it's data, then they're going to speak to the data. Like I would have never been able to have or access or manage or have this kind of data kind of thing. And just,
Okay.
I mean, this is okay, but it's manufactured. It's okay to write your customers' testimonials and send it to them for approval. If you've spoken,
yeah.
like if you've spoken,
I have done that. I have done that.
Okay. Yeah.
Because with this slide in your outcome, is this a customer's experience, the 80% reduction?
Yeah.
So if you could if you could attribute that to a specific customer, and in your back pocket, you have the story, but you don't have to put it on the chart. But if you could put a customer name beside that, it's a little stronger.
Okay. Thank you. I'll let somebody else have an opportunity.
Sure. Are you all also getting feedback elsewhere on your pitch decks? I mean, I'm sure you've all been iterating your deck, like, the last few weeks and whatnot. You're getting feedback from, okay, great. I mean, we have more time if anybody else would like to get some advice. Okay, I'm also happy to, if you'd like to email me your deck, what I could do is just send you a little 10-minute loom afterwards with some feedback. Happy to do that. Actually, what would even be better is does everybody use Loom or any kind of recording tool? If you could record to me how you would present that specific slide, then I can even give you feedback on what you're presenting. Okay, cool. Okay, on a show of hands, I like to do this sometimes, and even though it's biased, of 1 to 5, 5 being this was a really useful, hour and a half or 2 hours. What time do we start? Yeah, hour and a half. And 1 being, I already knew this stuff, like, thanks, Beth, but no thanks. How did you find this session? Go. 5, 4, 5, 5, 5. Okay, thank you. All right, that's good. Good to know.
On that note, too, we also have our feedback form. And for those who maybe were socially anxious to share, you can share there, and we'll make sure that it's anonymous. It's only shared with me. So feel free to share your feedback or perspective. We always want honest feedback to make it, improve whatever, or to zero in on subject matters too. If you have specific areas where you thought, Beth could have leaned in further, that could direct future content to make sure it's as valuable as possible for our founders.
Yeah. 100%.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Beth. And thank you so much, Maureen. We appreciate you joining us and adding your expert perspective. Absolutely. Is there anything else you'd like to say, Beth, before the day concludes and everyone gets the gift of time?
Thank you.
Yay!
I admire all of you. You're all doing the thing I never had the courage to do. I love supporting females. I've been a female in tech for a long time, and it's not easy. It's not, and I'm not even a founder, and it's not easy. So just persist, and we're all doing our best. And thank you so much for sharing today. It's really, really an honor to kind of dig into your heart and your souls, because that's, I know, what your company is to you all. So best of luck. Don't hesitate to email me. Katie can share my email. Katie will share the deck. And thanks, Maureen. So fun to tag team with you.
Great. Nice to participate in this, and good work, everybody. I think you're all making excellent progress.
Yes.
Okay.
And on the subject of, well, actually, does anyone else have any last minute questions? No? Good. I'm going to follow up with all of the details that Beth said. Thank you so much, Beth, again. And now I'm going to just get into a little bit of what's
Can I hop
priority
off?
over the coming. Yep, go for it.
Okay. Bye, y'all.
Beautiful.
Bye.
Okay, folks, so we're in final week of workshops, which is crazy. I still can't believe it. It's gone by so quick, but we are very, very excited to see, the final stages of the 6 weeks. We have one more workshop on Thursday, and that's focused on so you have investment, now what? We essentially want to be able to prep you for the next stages when you all inevitably secure investment, all the investment that you need to grow. So that session is coming up. We then will, of course, have our investor pitch day. And our investors this week, throughout the week, will be going through your data room. So just make sure that those are up to date. And if you are ongoingly updating them, you can also send me an email if there's any major changes. Again, people will continue to refer back to your data room. But if there are any major changes that you want me to flag, we are tracking that review of the data rooms, and they're working together. So I can provide those updates more on the back end of things, so that our investors know and are aware of any changes. In addition to that, you have access to your coaches, of course, and they're involved in this entire process. So they can do that on that side as well. The other thing I wanted to re-mention is that we are bringing in an expert to support you with your 3-minute pitch. Obviously, you've been doing incredible work over the last 6 weeks, really advancing and honing your 12-minute pitch. And I was giggling to myself, Sylvia, when you were like, lots of content. I know getting down the content is the hardest part. And we really didn't want to leave you high and dry in terms of setting you up for success with a 12-minute pitch and then saying, okay, well, now you have to do a 3-minute in-person pitch. Go for it. And we'll see you in 2 weeks. So we're bringing in an expert who's going to be running what we're calling masterclass sessions. The idea of the style of the session is to have founders be able to do their 3-minute pitch and then receive live feedback from her, and then together as a group be able to provide feedback. This might sound great or terrifying. For me, it brings me anxiety thinking about it, but I know that's the best place to learn. So that will be the format that will come through, and will be our expert is actually in New Zealand, so there'll be later sessions during the week, and we may offer one or multiple, and then you can also have a session with her where you meet just for 30 minutes one-on-one. We think there is a value in being able to have you together as a group to practice, and then also being able to work with her one-on-one if you wish. But just so that you know, are we feeling like this is a good, I know I'm asking you and it's a real in-time ask, but does that sound like a format that might work? And would 4 p.m.s potentially work for folks? And again, if you can't make it, you can also have one-on-ones. Okay, perfect. I'm sending out that invitation ideally today once Camille confirms, but yeah, we want to, okay, great. Okay. Beautiful. So that's what's up and coming. As well, if you have any logistical questions or any challenges in terms of actually getting here to Ottawa, booking your hotel, what your questions are for that day, or the days over SAS North, you can send me a message too. The other opportunity that I did want to flag now is that we're going to be bringing in an expert, well, a extremely talented photographer. So our photographer will be coming in and doing headshots for all of the founders. So just keeping that in mind whenever you come to get some little subtle smiles and nods. So she is a very extremely talented. As I said, this is her area of expertise in the more professional realm, and she'll be there on site to be able to actually take headshots for you and provide those. And we may also have an opportunity, which I'm going to flag later down the road, to have a videographer on site to be able to capture quick videos that would be intro videos to you and your business, which you can repurpose for the future. So more information on that to come, but just know more of those pieces are going to come together for the actual grand finale and then the SaaS North event. Oh, I know, Amy. The other thing is, and again, at the end, I'm gonna be sending out a survey, and really collecting, and on today's session as well. Honesty is the very best policy when it comes to providing feedback. Don't feel like, you're gonna hurt feelings or whatever it might be. Our goal is to always make SheBoot better for, as we're continuously trying to evolve. We also want to know that, things are working and that you're seeing value in the program, but feedback is really welcome. And to Amy's point, my goal with this program was to also roll out things as they're relevant. I think information dumping can be quite overwhelming. Already it feels like that because so much happens in such a short period of time. But yes, it continues to roll and we continue to give, and not to, we're also going to be offering more sessions in January, which will be optional for you and our graduates. And we'll be bringing in Erin Blasky. I don't know if you've been exposed to her in this space. She's very active in the startup space, has been a tech founder, all of these different things. She's going to be running a marketing audit session, and then she'll actually be able to dedicate 5 hours to each one of your businesses to do an actual official marketing audit for you if you see that that's valuable for you. So just so you know, those sort of next stages of our support will be coming down the line in January. So we have a marketing audit session, which actually gives you free 5 hours of an audit done by her. Really incredible value that she's willing to offer us. She really believes in the program, so that's another benefit. And then we'll be bringing in an expert. Her name is Colleen, and she'll be doing a sales session. So really zeroing in on sales expertise. Again, that's in January, but more to come later. For now, we'll focus on just getting through the next, month. And then we'll give you a little bit of a breather, and then we'll give you a bunch of other things that you can continue to do and capitalize on down the road. Okay, that's enough for me because I really do want to give you back the gift of time. Again, reach out, give me a call, send me a text, send me an email if you have any questions, and I'll chat with all of you very soon. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye. No
Thank you.
problem.
Amazing. Thank you so
Bye.
much.
Have a
Thanks.
great day,
Bye-bye.
guys. Bye.